Hey guys, it's Shadowswim, and we have the new free week champion rotation for week 14 of the 2014 season of League of Legends. This week we've got Aatrox, Blitzcrank, Corki, Darius. We've also got Elise, Ezreal, Fiora, Karthus, Katarina, and Thresh. Sorry for no week 13 rotation, but yeah, real life called. But anyway guys, we're here for this week, and let's get around to the champions, shall we? As usual, going to go through what lane you can expect to see the champions in, the general items you can expect to see them build, and the overall role they fill. So going down the line from A to Z, or A to T I guess in this situation, we've got Aatrox, who you can expect to see either in the top lane or in the jungle. He's very good in both, and you could expect to see him build primarily attack damage with a focus a little bit on, I guess you could say, attack speed as well as survivability. So stuff like a Sunfire Cape doesn't go amiss on him. But overall you should be seeing stuff like a Zephyr or a Ravenous Hydra. All those are good for Aatrox. And yeah, that's really a general item build would be attack speed with some, high attack damage mixed in with maybe some crit. And again, you could expect to see him in the top lane or in the jungle. Next, we've got Blitzcrank, who he will be primarily played in the bottom as support. You can expect to see him build items such as maybe I want to say like a Iceborne Gauntlet. That would be pretty good on Blitzcrank. Other than that, he'd be generally support items. So, that Ruby Sightstone, etc., etc. And again, primarily in the bottom lane supporting the ADC. Speaking of, we have Corki, who, just like Blitzcrank, you expect to see in the bottom, but he'll be the ADC this time around, not the support. You can expect items on him such as a Trinity Force, Bloodthirster, Infinity Edge, and the likes such as you would see on any other ADC. And a Guardian Angel doesn't go amiss on Corki either, and an item such as the Manamune is pretty viable on Corki too. Food for thought on that one, guys. Next we have Darius, who you can expect to see primarily in the top lane, with a high focus on attack damage and health, with some armor and magic resist mixed in. So that high damage, high survivability that you'll be seeing on a lot of top lane champions. But for Darius, you also want to focus a little bit on maybe some armor shred, so a Black Cleaver doesn't go amiss on him, neither does a Last Whisper, but that's really kind of it. You maybe could get away with a Atma's Impaler, but I would not recommend it. A Frozen Mallet definitely, a Ravenous Hydra maybe, but stick with the Black Cleaver and you should pretty much be set from there. And again, maybe get a Warmogs, a Sunfire Cape, or anything that would add some magic resist or armor with some health. Next we have Elise, who you can expect to see top lane or jungle. She's pretty good in both of those. Seen some mid Elises, they're not the greatest, but they can hold their own, not gonna lie, they can hold their own. And she'll primarily be built AP with a little focus on survivability, so an item such as a Rylus Crystal Scepter is good on Elise, but other than that, Landry's Torment is very, very valuable on her. And, the general AP items, an Abyssal Scepter, maybe a Rod of Ages, or, just kind of play it by ear, see what your team needs you to be. Do they need you to be the high AP champion, or do they need you to be the, hey look, I'm kind of a tanky AP champion? And go from there. Next we have Ezreal, who can be played either in the bot lane or in the middle. If he's going to be played in the middle, it'll most likely be as an AP champion. So again, an item such as Rabadon's Death Cap would be good for him at that point. Maybe a Rod of Ages, a Archangel Staff. But overall, you'd expect to see him be built attack damage. And from there, it can branch out to two different ways. What's called blue or red Ezreal. Blue, you'd go for items such as a Manamune, a Sheen, and turn that into maybe a Trinity Force. And kind of go from there. Iceborne Gauntlets. Items that are, their icon has the shade blue in it, pretty much. And for red, you'd be getting stuff like a Trinity Force, Bloodthirster, Infinity Edge, so on and so forth. But overall, either one of those two would be very valuable. I, I would recommend personally going with red and going Bloodthirster, Infinity Edge, because that's kind of a pretty easier route to go. Next, we've got Fiora, who you can expect to be playing the top lane. And again, just like Aatrox, pretty tanky, pretty high damage, but for her, more focus on damage than tankiness because she has enough utility to survive in her kit alone. Plus, her stat gains are enough to make her a big threat and be able to take a few punches at the same time. Items that could be good for Fiora would be Ravenous Hydra, maybe get a Bloodthirster, and kind of branch out from there, going more for that survivability, but still focusing on the attack damage. Again, a Phage or even a Frozen Mallet would be good for Fiora as well. And again, primarily the top lane. Next, we've got Katarina and Karthus. I'm going to go over both of them because they're pretty much same builds. Both of them will get, well, personally, I would get a Landry's Torment on both of them. You get a Rabadon's Death Cap on both of them. And I could see maybe, well, I can definitely see Zanya's Hourglass on both of them as well. But that's kind of where the differences end. Also, the similarities, they also will be played primarily in the mid lane. But Karthus, expect to see items such as, Rod of Ages, or a, Archangel Staff. That's very, very, very good for Karthus, due to him just casting spells non-stop, and him needing the mana. But other than that, a Void Staff would be good, an Abyssal Scepter, all of those very, very good. And for Katarina, you can expect to see her again in the mid lane with kind of the same build as Karthus, but get a Hextech Gunblade in there as well, and mix in that, Rod of Ages, the Abyssal Scepter or a Void Staff, depending on, which you prefer. I personally prefer the Abyssal Scepter because it gives me magic resist as well. But that's all personal preference. And you can see her in the mid lane or sometimes in the top lane, but primarily in the mid. And last but not least, we have Thresh, who very valuable support. You'll primarily see him played as support. Very, very seldomly will you see him played in any other lane. So, yeah, expect items such as, that Runic Bulwark, the, Ruby Sightstone, etc., etc. Just things to help his his team out in general, with maybe a little emphasis on ability power as well. So maybe Nathine's Unholy Grail, or even, I would go, as, far to cast the thought of, or I would go as far as to cast the thought of maybe getting, like, a Crystal Scepter on Thresh. Maybe, but overall Nathine's Unholy Grail should support you, and then maybe kind of branch out into there, maybe get a Rabadon's Death Cap. But that'd pretty much be it. That's it, guys. That's the free week champion rotation for week 14. If I've forgotten anything, or if you think you have a different build for any of the champions this week, go ahead and leave it in the comment section down below. And as always, I will talk to you all next time.